Why did I do that? Why would I play such a beautiful solo in the end and then end with shred? Well, don't know. Yeah, why would I do that? I can tell you the answer in a little while, but hey, let's first, start the stream tonight. Hey everyone, it's Emanuel, and I'm happy to be back on the BluGuitar channel. It has been a little while that I've been here because, we had Christmas and then New Year and last month, well, actually 2 months ago in December, I thought, and we thought in the team that would be great to just have, some community stuff going on. So instead of making another, Academy of Shred, we thought that would be great to have the whole team on there and then highlight, the best basically, situations of the year and everything. That was great fun. And yeah, I hope that everyone started the new year well, 2026. I'm late to the party, I guess, but this is the first time in 2026 that I'm on the channel. So yeah, wish everyone out there a great new year, and I hope that you'll achieve your goals and that you'll have a good time, and that all the bad stuff in the world, which there's plenty of stuff happening right now, everything is getting better. So it is time for Academy of Shred again, and I was super excited to be back live on the channel. I was looking forward to today, and I thought, what should we start off the new year? And it's Academy of Shred, so I thought I'd make an episode about shred, but not the usual shred stuff, because let me get straight into the topic. The thing is that the term shred, it's not a technically defined term. If you were to study music, and then you use the term shred, everyone's kind of connecting something different to that word. So a lot of people connect it to very fast playing, a lot of people connected to soulless playing, so just being fast without any emotion and stuff. I think the truth is somewhere in between, really. So we will talk about what shred means to me in a second. And in the end, guitar playing has so many different so many different things you can do with the guitar, really, right? I always tend to say to my students that the thing that I think makes the guitar special is, it's flesh on string. So there's nothing in between. And I love other instruments as well, right? So, but for instance, if we'll take a look at the piano, which is a great instrument. I love the piano. I have one in the back. Maybe you can see it behind the chair. And this is not a proper piano, but it's kind of a MIDI piano. So I love keys. For example, but the thing is that you're hitting something, and the thing that you have under your fingers, it's not what makes the sound, right? It is something that initiates a process where in the piano the sound is made, and this is different with a lot of instruments work like this, right? And this is very different with stringed instruments like the guitar, like the violin, like the mandolin. There are so many great string instruments out there. The difference is that you're kind of directly connected to it. And in case of the electric guitar, the reason why I think it's the most expressive instrument is because we tend to use it with distortion. So distortion basically amplifies everything that is on there in a bad way, in a good way, right? So there's a lot of unwanted noise that you can create with it, obviously. But eventually you can figure out how to make this unwanted noise sound cool, things like slides and stuff, right? If you play, other instruments, I think it's not as intense as with the electric guitar, because the distorted electric guitar, is, I guess, the most expressive instrument there is. So back to the topic of shred, right? So in the end, it doesn't matter what kind of music you like, what kind of guitar player you like, right? From the blues guys to the, 8-string thumping, whatever, Polyphia kind of guys. We all love the guitar. And I think instead of, like competing with each other, we should just admire the thing that everyone is doing. And this is what Thomas and I, keep talking about, right? And there's a lot of stuff in in blues playing which I really like. Jazz playing, I love jazz. I'm not a good jazz player at all, right? But I love jazz. I'd like to get more into this if I had more time. And I wasn't thinking like this 10 years ago. I was like, the thing that I do, like metal and shred, is the only great thing on earth, and all the other guys, they don't know anything about good and real and true music. But eventually over the years, getting to know like great players of different genres and stuff, I really started to open my mind towards all sorts of styles. And the reason why I'm explaining all of this in the beginning of the stream is, I think the way that I see shred, there's a lot of shred in non-shred music. Does that make sense? It doesn't. So what do I mean by that? For instance, players like for example Hendrix, right? Hendrix is I think no one considers him a shred guitar player. I wouldn't say that he is a kind of a shred guitar player, but I think there's some pre-elements of shred in that kind of playing that he does. Or guys like Jimmy Page, right? I had Stairway to Heaven in the beginning, second track of the medley that I've just shown you. There are licks in there which go like, right, which is not exactly kind of the typical thing you'd connect to shred. But it is a fast thing. It is an arpeggio. It requires a certain level of technique that is not intuitive, right? So picking on two strings, pull-offs, and all this stuff, this is not something you would do. You need to practice it, right? You're having a bar over two strings, so you need a certain level of muting and precision and all of this, right? And this is what really shred is about for me, right? Obviously, speed is a part of shred. So if you're talking about shred guitar, you're always talking about speed. So right, it's a lick that all these old school guys like Jimmy Page, they did play 50 years ago. All these guys shred players, they are not. But do they have elements of shred in their playing? They do, right? So I think that again, right, these guys who are like I don't like shred and anything, I think they're not even true to themselves, because speed is also a way to create excitement in music, and speed in music. Well, there was speed like fast music 100 years before, right? So when I was going back to university, I was practicing some classical stuff like the Turkish March, right, which is not exactly a modern piece of electric guitar shred, whatever. It's a very old piece, right? And it goes like things like this, right? If you play that on the guitar nowadays, right, this is shred guitar, isn't it? Because again, there's a certain level of speed, technicality, precision, everything required to play that, right? And there's there's a lot of guitar players. There's maybe some some guys who don't use it at all, like for example B.B. King, which is a great player. I love him. I love what he does. I listen to B.B. King when I'm driving the car for an extended period of time and whatnot. I really love it. There are some guys like B.B. King who don't use shred at all. But I think most guitar players that kind of are common ground in the guitar community, right? Hendrix, everyone loves Hendrix. Like Gary Moore, like Jimmy Page, like these kind of guys, right, from the 70s and 60s, when electric guitar really became a thing. They do have something that I'd consider shred in their playing, which again is a certain level of speed, a certain level of technicality, a certain level of precision required to be able to play that. And there are other things, like for example other techniques which are not connected to shred, and the reason why is because they're very, very intuitive. So I'm having a daughter, she's 15 months old, right? She can't talk, she can barely walk and all this stuff, and obviously when I'm hanging out with my daughter, we're here in my studio and we touch the guitars and everything. And when I sometimes just out of fun give her a guitar, what she's doing is she's bending the strings, really, right? That's because that's an intuitive motion that is second nature for human beings. We have something, we grab it, we push it, we pull it. This is very intuitive, and the sound of it is as well, right? Like by bending guitar strings, we really, we're going in between notes. So the Western music system, right? We have semitones. That's the smallest you can get. So if you have an A, and after that there's an A sharp, and there's nothing between the music that we know. But when we start bending the string, we can get in between those notes. You can't do that on any other. You can't do that on non-stringed instruments. Or you can't do it on a piano. You can't do it on a lot of instruments. On the guitar you can. So it's a very intuitive motion that we do, and the sound is also very intuitive. It's very human, because humans, they don't have perfect pitch. The greatest vocalist on earth, what makes them great is not that they hit every note perfect, but that they are playing around that note with vibrato and all these things, and there's this little imperfection in there that makes things sound human. And they have such a great level of control that they can really, be slightly off pitch without sounding off pitch, just by mastering really what they do. So if you let a software sing, AI sing, I know that AI is very advanced with music right now, and it will get even better in a couple of years, but the thing that really AI, or let's say programs, couldn't do years ago is, going into this human space of imperfection. You can rebuild a vocal line with a MIDI plugin, right? I can put it into Logic or any DAW, any other DAW, doesn't matter, right? I can put a vocal line in there, and it will sound perfect. But that's the thing that makes it sound inhuman. And this is something you can redo on the guitar with techniques like bending, very intuitive motion and very intuitive human sound to it. I'm not saying that bending is not a proper technique. I love bending. I do bending a lot. I should do it more, but my string action is usually so low that I can't bend everywhere on the neck. But that's not the point. But it's very intuitive. It's one of the first things that you're taught a guitar student if you're playing the electric guitar is bending. You get into bending. You're not going to teach him how to sweep pick in the second lesson, right? You're not going to do that. Because the basic level of technicality to be able to somehow, right, recreate the sound that you're going for is way higher than with bending, generally speaking. I know there's a lot of challenging bending stuff, especially with like country guitar players and all of that. I can play that. That's not the discussion. But I think most guitar players would agree that it's easier to get into bending than it is to get into sweep picking. And it's certainly more intuitive because these motions we know. But we don't know these motions by nature, the shred motions. So yeah, so that's the first thing I really want to discuss, and that's really it, right? Shredding or shred-like guitar passages are also in vintage kind of playing. Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and all of these guys, they kind of use what I would consider shred-like, sequences in there, playing without being like real shredders. All right, guys, I've been talking a lot right now, so let me check the comment section. I'm live. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. So if you have any questions about guitar playing or the products that we do at BluGuitar, the M1 and stuff, feel free to ask them, and I'm going to answer those to the best of my abilities. Let me go through the comments for a moment and see what you guys are up to tonight. Oh wow, there's a lot of comments. That's great. There are a lot of comments, and thanks for being part of this, guys. This makes it great. Yeah, so everyone is expressing sadness for Jason Becker. I mean, it's a sad story. And I couldn't imagine where guitar playing would be right now if things would have been different with him, with his health situation. So for those guys who don't know, Jason Becker is someone who was amongst the first like real proper shredders in the 80s, and then he started suffering from an incurable disease which disables him to play guitar. He can't really move, he can't talk, he can only move his eyes. And luckily, he's a musical genius, and music is everything he wanted to do in his life, right? So they invented a technology which enables him to control kind of a MIDI controller with his eyes by looking into different directions and thereby controlling the device. And this allowed him, to be able to make music again, to compose music again. And he has a lot of great stuff out there. He's working with some of the greatest guitarists who do guest solos on his tracks. And he's doing all the compositional stuff. And it doesn't have to be shred, but he is a musical genius. So the harmonic stuff, the fast stuff, everything sounds great. Sad story, but I'm extremely thankful. That he walks amongst human beings nowadays still. His influence for the guitar scene, especially for the shred guitar scene, is invaluable. So I'm with you, whoever is expressing respect and also sadness for Jason Becker. I'm with you guys. So it seems that you guys liked the medley in the beginning. Thanks for that. I'm looking over the comments, but I'm super thankful for everyone who likes what we do, what I do. Let's go on here. Thomas is here with us as well. Mr. Thomas Blug is here from his vacations. Hey Thomas, hope you're having a great time. We'll talk about Thomas and NAMM in a little while. What else have we got here? Wow, guys, you wrote so much, so much positivity about my playing and everything. I can't tell you how thankful I am. I mean, obviously, I love making music, but you feel better if people like what you do, don't you? That is part of the truth. All right. Someone's writing. I don't think you can. That's Mr. Bertozzo 86 guitar. I'm sure I pronounced the first word wrong. He wrote, I don't think you can name one best guitarist. I'm a metalhead, but I love SRV, which stands for Stevie Ray Vaughan. And this is true. I mean, I have a couple of guitar players who I go back to and that I got inspired by so much, who are kind of my favorite guitar players. But yeah, I mean, there's a difference between favorite guitar players and best guitar players. And putting something like best would be like, like trying to add a certain level of objectivity, and there's no standard for guitar playing that you can measure, right? So you're 100% right. This is spot on. Thanks for saying that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, someone, Thomas. Well, it's not someone, but Thomas Blug himself wrote that Gary Moore was a great blues and rock shred. To me, he's certainly right. I named him in my speech in the beginning, didn't I? So yeah, 100% right. Gary Moore. Yeah, a lot of shred elements in his playing. Great guy. Passed away way too soon, if you'd ask me. All right. Oh wow, guys, you're very busy with commenting. I really like that. This is how it's supposed to be. I don't want to talk into empty space. I want to talk with you. I want to hear what you guys think. That's very cool. Paganini was the first shredder. You're absolutely right. You're at Noise Zone, right? Thanks for that comment. I mean, yeah, that's a point I wanted to prove with the Turkish March, which I played a couple of minutes ago, right? That basically this is music which is very not popular nowadays, but which is known and accepted by everyone to be, very valuable art and stuff. And I think, if you play on the guitar, you'd be considered a shredder if you could play that. So 100% I agree. Yeah. We have a question by Patrick McKay, 6621. He's asking, pick slanting, speed burst, planting technique, putting in the hours, but still promise to break certain barriers. Any advice? Wow, that's a very big question, and I'm going to be absolutely, I'm going to tell you the truth, which I'm trying to do every time. But this is a topic where I'm knowledgeable, so I guess I can tell you something valuable about it. So the truth is that this is such a huge. There's such a huge amount of different topics in your question that it's hard to answer it. There's no advice that I can give you without knowing where you are, without knowing what you do and what the barriers are. So when someone's trying to sell you, and there are a lot of great educators out there, right? So I don't want to talk, shit about everyone. The stuff on JTC is perfect. Guys like, Alex Hutchings and Rick Graham and the stuff with Guthrie Govan, and the list is long. There's so much great educational material out there. But these guys are usually very specific with their answers, and that's the thing, right? So they eventually make a course which is called Phrasing Part 1. And it's a full guitar course with backing tracks and tabs and videos and explanations, everything. And there's a reason why these A-level guitar players, why they're so specific with their course. When you have this master shred kind of program and it's 1 hour of video, I think it's very hard to get that down because, the complexity of all these different topics is so high that it's hard to really nail it with just one short answer. So we'll get to that a little bit, to pick slanting and all these things, but this is, today's episode is about, the amateur players or the non-shred players who are interested into getting into shred. So yeah, we're not going to get too deep into detail. This would certainly exceed, the time that is available tonight. But keep on being on the Academy of Shred streams, because there are a lot of topics in there which I will address in future episodes as well. If you want to learn about pick slanting, there's a friend of mine. His name is Justin Hambach, and he's a great YouTuber and a great guy and a great player. And he has a course on that, which is called the Zen of Speedpicking. He's explaining a lot about pick slanting and these techniques. So this is a very in-depth course, and it's not an empty promise like I'm gonna make you the best player of all time. It's a very technical analysis about speed picking, very specific, hours of materials on that, tons of exercise. It's great stuff on there, right? So I take a look at that if you want to get into this. This is a little tip that I can give you. Can you recommend or present some basic practice to get into shredding? This is a question by Hushi Channel. Yes, I will do that. I will do that for those guys who are not into shredding yet. I want to get into shredding, or want to get a little bit into shredding, right? So we'll certainly do that later on in the stream. Giffy Marauder. I know this guy. He's on the stream all the time. Thanks for being present, and thanks for being with us. I always struggle with the coordination of left and right and to store the modern fast techniques. All typical phrases, no problems at fast speed or bass string together with 2 or 3 higher frets. Well, we'll address that. This is a very common problem. It's hard to get started with it, and we'll address that in this stream. Noise Zone wrote üben, which is practice. So practicing is certainly part of it. Von nichts kommt nichts, ne? That's the German answer, but it's not only about practicing. It's what you practice. It's how you practice, right? There are just practicing, but practicing wrong will not get you anywhere. Well, or will be basically a very, very, hard and unsatisfying process. But it's about practicing the right way, and we'll talk about that later on in the stream. All right, let's get into the stuff. So let me summarize the first part of it, just for those who are new on the stream, to get our watches synchronized. Shred guitar. Let's try to define it in an objective way. So there's a certain level of speed in shred guitar. Shred guitar means fast playing. There's a certain level of technicality, right? So technicality on the instrument, technical abilities. That's something that is not intuitive, that is not second nature to human, that are not movements that you could do without knowing what you do, that need to be practiced, that need to be improved, that need to be developed over time, right? That's the second aspect of it. I'd add a third aspect, which is that shred has to have a certain element of creativity. Because if you play the same licks and the same stuff all the time, I think this would be bad shred. Now, it can still be kind of shred, but it would be bad shred. So good shred. Let me talk in these terms. Good shred, and not that objective, but I think most people would agree to it, is to be able to use these technical skills that I've been talking about, to use the speed in a creative way that really makes sense, that really works in a musical way as well. That's how I would define shred. It's fast, it's technical, and it's creative. Right, that would be my definition of shred. And this can be part of blues guitar playing, can be part of metal guitar playing, right? Can be part of anything. Let's say there are certain levels of shred, right? They're shreddish or shred-like kind of licks. And there are hardcore speed picking, very, very hard licks that you can play. All of those are connected to shred, but obviously, you know, Jimmy Page is not as much of a shredder as Yngwie Malmsteen or Jason Becker. All right, so we have now defined shred. Let's get into it. So I have a lot of student requests because I'm teaching a lot of guitar, right? It's part of what I do. I play concerts, I compose music, I'm a producer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a teacher, I work at a university, all of this. So I usually get a lot of students who do play the guitar and who have a basic level of electric guitar skill, which means that mostly they're self-taught guys and they've been playing for a couple of years and they feel good and confident with what they do, but they eventually reach like a plateau, a barrier, right? So they're making progress, and then there's this one point where progress stops existing. And this is usually, you know, this is kind of the prototype student that I get mostly. This is what I'm knowing for in the area where I live, and yeah. So this gets back to what I've told before, right? Guitar playing can be very intuitive, but the shred stuff is not. And once you kind of, you know, are familiar with all the more intuitive techniques, you'll eventually hit this plateau, because breaking out of the intuitive guitar playing world requires, you know, more systematic practice. It's not only for shred, but it's also, for example, for if you want to be like a songwriter, right? Right. You must know about scales and chords eventually, or you must be brave enough, even if you don't know your scales and your theory, brave enough to try certain things on the guitar. A lot of people they don't want to do things where they're not sure about, even not if they're alone, right? There's this kind of image of guitar that there's right and wrong playing, so they don't want to get into the zone where they may mess up things. If you're not brave enough to try things on your own, or if you're not willing to invest time into practicing or into learning theory, or if you simply don't know where to start. This is also a thing that a lot of people have. They want to practice guitar, they want to play guitar, but they don't know where to start. Or if you know where to start, but you don't have enough time, this is also a very common issue. You know, then you'll be at this plateau. And there are certainly things you can do about it, right? Which, yeah, we'll get into now. So, shredding starts with very, very simple exercises that you can then develop into more, let's say, classical shred-like sequences and passages on the guitar. So let me give you an example. A lick that I think that everyone who's playing the guitar for 1 or 2 years can somehow recreate, maybe not that fast, but yeah, somehow recreate. So it's extremely simple what I'm going to do now. So we're in the pentatonic, first pentatonic position, E minor. Let's go for E minor because it's very simple, right? I don't even have tabs for this because it's so simple. And what we're going to do is we're going onto the E string with our ring finger. That's what most people use, right? Ring finger or pinky on the 15th fret on the E string, and then we do a pull off to our index finger, which is waiting at the 12th fret. So very simple. And then what we should do is we're going to do the exact same thing on the B string as well. So, pull off. 15 to 12. Right? 15 to 12. So that's very, very simple. Right? Once you start playing it fast, it sounds way different. Right, it sounds very cool if you just play it on your own, but if you use it in a song at the right spot with the right dramatics and everything, it sounds killer. It's a very simple lick. So every guitar player can get to the point after, you know, without much practice and with just playing a little bit of guitar and pentatonic position 1 and power chords and the thing that we just do at the beginning, right? To be able to somehow play. No. Now, it's a very simple thing, but if you do it wrong, there are a lot of factors that can hold you back, right? Let me start with the classic mistakes on this exercise. First thing is timing. Timing is extremely important, right? This kind of, machine gun-like sound when you do shredding certainly has to do something with timing. So what a lot of students do, and maybe you'll see yourself doing that or having done that a while back, is to be fast on the pull-offs and to be slower in the in-between notes that you have to pick. Right? So there's a break between the string change. It sounds like this. Right? Yeah, so this is a classical mistake I hear a lot of students do. Let me show you another lick. Well, I'm not going to explain, but let me show you another lick that is very common for kind of amateur shred kind of stuff, where the timing is wrong. So if you play it right, the second lick, it sounds like this. Play it wrong, it sounds like this. It's about the timing, right? So usually in the beginning, it changes when you're more advanced. I think legato playing, which means playing with hammer-ons and pull-offs on a guitar, can be a very challenging technique. It's my favorite technique, as I always tend to say. But in the beginning for these pentatonic licks, usually it's considered easier, right? Just simple pull-offs with two fingers, kind of easy, I guess. So as it is kind of easy, right? Well, your goal is to play fast if you're going for shred licks. So if things are easy, you can play them fast. The not so easy part is switching strings, right? That is pretty challenging for most guitar players. One of the main challenging of playing single note guitar lines is to change strings. So that is quite difficult. So what people do is they play the easy part fast and they play the hard part slow. And then you get this weird kind of timing thing. You can practice that forever. It's not going to sound good at all, right? Because the timing is wrong. Even though we may use techniques like pull-offs and tapping and all of that, right? It doesn't make sense to unintentionally change the timing on it. So if you always play the parts that are very hard to play slow and the parts that are very easy to play or easier to play fast, it doesn't matter how many hours you practice, you're not going to sound good in the end. There may be obviously sequences where you're going to do it intentionally, right? So part of it maybe 16th notes and the other part is slower or whatever. That's okay. But I'm talking about this steady shred guitar sound. You'll only get that with consistent timing. So what you're supposed to do is the following. Try to find a tempo. Well, you can do it with a metronome, but I know a lot of people hate it. So it's not a must-have. It helps at a certain point, but let's get started without the metronome. You'll find the point where you're playing with constant timing. You don't even have to define if it's 16th notes or triplet notes. All of this stuff doesn't matter. You just have to feel a constant beat. So no. Nothing like this, but you're getting slower. That slow. It can even be that slow. Does not matter at all. Let me check. Let me turn off the boost for now. Can even be that slow. It doesn't matter at all. The tempo doesn't matter in the beginning when you're getting into practicing. So yeah, what you do then is you're getting to a point where you have steady tempo. Doesn't matter, right? And you play that until you can play it faster, but with steady timing, right? So not only, you don't want to practice until the movement is fast. You want to practice until the movement is fast and steady. That is very important. I can't stress this aspect enough. It's very, very important to have steady timing, right? So that's the first thing. You can only achieve that by slowing down in the first place. Being able to play fast has a lot to do with playing slow for a long period of time. Trust me. Okay. So that's the first thing. Yeah, I'm checking the noise gate right now, but it should be on metal. To be honest, I think I messed up something with the settings, but all right. Or let me for right now. I've played on the Iridium, but let's go for the let's go a little bit for the oh yeah, I'm having another pedal activated. Let's go for the Mercury a little bit because I really love playing on the Mercury nowadays. Generally love playing on the Mercury, but yeah, let's go for the Mercury. Sounds really good. Okay. By the way, I mean, it's obvious to say which amps I have with me, but I'm right now on the Mercury, which is here on the left. Right, I know the camera angle is not ideal today because I have a broken camera stand and had to make something up. Yeah, that's the settings on the Mercury. If you zoom in, you can see them. Right now, playing that one. Those pedals are not connected. Well, they are connected, but I don't use them right now. Right, so it's just the Mercury that you hear when I'm playing. Okay. Now let's get back to the lick. Steady timing, very, very important. So the second thing that you need to think about is, about technical details. So how can I play that? You want to develop a technique that works not only when you're playing slow, but that also works when you're playing faster. And this one's a little bit tricky. Why is that? Because when we work slow, I mean, obviously, the obvious thing is it's easier to do. So usually, we don't have to have a good technique to be able to play these licks slow. But the beauty of these licks, right, only comes when you play them faster. So no one would ever in a solo play sound good when you're playing slow, right? There are other beautiful things you can play in that same tempo, but not a repetitive sequence. I mean, right? This stuff works when it's played slow, but not. Right, so yeah, you may get used to a technique that works when you play slow because you don't have this controlling factor, right? You can't emulate playing fast with that technique, so you have to trust yourself that you're playing it the right way. So, and here is you really have to understand the logistics of playing fast. So this is a very obvious one, right? But take a look at my right hand right now, okay? I want you to take a look at my right hand and see what I do wrong when I play it slow, and then put it into the chat. Can you do that for me, guys? Right. So that was a lick played wrong, right? It wouldn't work that good when I would play fast. So please let me know what is the wrong thing I just did here. I'm curious to see if everyone realized the mistake. If anyone noticed the mistake, don't be shy. Put it into the comment sections, and you will unlock the next chapter of the shred guitar tutorial that we do today. Whilst you guys are writing, I'm gonna have a little bit of soloing here. that's cool to just have it go on the guitar sometimes. All right, let's take a look at the chat. And you guys, you are amazing. Thomas wrote only downstrokes. I mean, Thomas, I would expect you to know, right? Yeah, so another user wrote, I think it's way you're picking all the notes. That may be the right thing, though. I guess you mean the right thing. Zados666 said, I'd use up and down strokes, right? So that's exactly the thing about it. It does work when you play slow. It does work. But it wouldn't work when you play fast. And that's very difficult. That's one of the main challenges. I mean, you have to be able to imagine how it would sound when you play fast. If it would work when you play fast. That is a very challenging thing. Yeah, so exactly, just by playing downstrokes, you can certainly reach a certain level of speed. I'm going to play it as fast as I can. Here it doesn't sound good. I'm not playing it clean with downstrokes. The movement isn't effective. Maybe my downstroke technique, but I guess physically more effective to play it with the up and down stroke. Right, so in terms of the speed, I'm more limited by my left hand because it's quite fast already. But it was way cleaner with up and down strokes, right? So we'll get you there way easier. Right, so that is something that's very important when you want to get into shred, right? You really have to understand the physics and logistics of your movements. It's not as important when you're not playing shred, because these wrong or ineffective movements, they eventually can sound good. They can be what you want when you're not playing fast. Let me show you a lick as an example, right? So this is a lick. It was in some Led Zeppelin solo that I learned when I was a kid. It was a lick like, right? So picking movements like this, right? So very disruptive, hard and harsh picking. Not good when you want to play shred guitar. But obviously, if you want to have that sound for your phrasing, it's the greatest thing you can have. Dap dap dap. You know that's very cool sound. If you want to have that, it's fine for phrasing. It's not good for shredding. All right. Great. So let's go on from here. So let's say you've been practicing this, right? And you start off very slow and steady with continuous timing, and you do the right thing with hammer-ons and pull-offs, but up and down strokes, right? So you'll get to a point where you'll be quite fast with it. It doesn't take ages. It's a very simple lick. It can sound very cool if you play it fast. It sounds like the stuff that, like in Freebird and these kind of solos, what they play there. And this is very known stuff, and everyone likes that. So start out like this, and then you'll get to a point where you'll be like, this is a tempo that should be achievable within a certain amount of time. So what you now do is you start messing around with it a little bit. Really, that's what you do. So instead of playing the same thing all the time, I think like this, and this is a very it's almost like a engineer kind of way of thinking. It's like I've mastered the technique, which is two opposing strings, downstroke pull off, upstroke pull off, downstroke pull off, upstroke pull off. I can do it. So what can I do with this technique? First thing you can do is take the exact same lick and put it to other spaces on the guitar, right? So we'll go. Let's go down in a tonic position. Right, let's go up in a tonic position. Right, so that's the same technique. Different frets. Your fingers may have to get used to it, but once you get it down, it's very easy to achieve that. Right, so eventually you can connect all of those. Right, you can go up and down the fretboard. You can take it to other strings. Well, let's go down an octave from to. Right, and you can also go up and down the neck in this and this octave. right? And this makes it certainly sound more impressive and more creative because you can start to create movement. You don't have this constant lick, which sometimes can sound very good. Depends on how you use it in the solo. If you use it at the right spot, a constant lick can be great. But being able to go up and down, right, creates movement that, sounds more technical, more pleasant, more creative to the ear. Now, I did a thing, which I didn't explain, but I just did it because it was second nature. It's repeating the first strings pull off. So instead of going, what I can do as well sometimes is, repeat the pattern on the first string, and then go to the second string. Right? Or let's start varying the notes within the pattern. So instead of going 15-12 on the E string, I can go 14-12 sometimes. So. Or I can go 17-12, for instance. Well, that's quite hard to do, but you'll get to it. And then we can just change the notes all the time, alternate all the time. So. And imagine, right? This is a huge progress. Like, think of what we started with. We started with. We're ending up at. Right, at this kind of thing. And we can do even crazier stuff with it. We can start moving through the scale. So like. Right, sequences like this, where you just do 3 strings in a row. Just pentatonic, and then going down a string, right? So after the G string, go back to the B string and start from there. 3 strings in a row. Right? So it's a very systematic process that we're going through. And I guarantee you, I promise you, right, that if you play the guitar and you play blues and pentatonics and stuff like this, and you practice this for 10 hours, I was to say, 10 minutes a day over a couple of weeks, you'll be able to play these licks that I've just played in a very similar speed, right? But you have to keep in mind steady tempo, steady timing, alternate picking. Another common mistake that I usually see, I forgot to mention that, is doing it with a bar, right? So, right. So just putting the 12th fret with the index finger as a bar and then playing like this. It will get you to good results in the beginning, but if you start moving around with it, it may hold you back, right? So just do yourself a favor. It's a little bit harder in the beginning, but yeah, do the. Do string swapping with the index finger. By the way, I mean, I as I play so much legato, I don't really like using the pick for it. I'm best at it if I just play without. Right, this is right. Things like this. Right, it feels very good if I just do it with my left hand because I'm so used to it. All right, cool. Now, you start to understand the process, right? We start out simple. We try to settle those very important factors like timing, like right technique. Start slow with very simple stuff. But the thing is that simple stuff sounds very impressive when it's played fast, right? It's simple stuff, but it's played fast. Sounds very impressive. Now, let's say you've got to a point after 2 or 3 months of just practicing this stuff that I've just shown you. And you feel good, right? Because this kind of a shreddish kind of lick, and you can use it in your improvisations, just hanging out with friends or whatever, show them what you can play, in your solos that you write, whatever, right? So you feel very good because you've achieved that. And it becomes more and more second nature to you. So you grab the guitar and you can play it straight, without practice, warming up or whatever. So you're reaching a point where it starts to feel very, very good. that is when you can move on. If you are a non-professional guitar player that can only divide a very limited proportion of his time per day in practicing, I wouldn't go for, I gotta buy this guitar course about pick slanting or whatever and practice that, because it still requires a certain amount of time. And I know that because I'm in that situation myself. I'm happy that I had a lot of time to practice when I was younger, because nowadays, I have to play guitar every day because it's my job, but I practice like 1 hour a day. I used to play, I used to practice, not to play. I used to practice 5, 6, 7 hours a day, right? The clip that I've shown you in the beginning where I was playing like Jason Becker and Yngwie and all of that's an old clip. I'll talk about that in a second. But I know it's very challenging, right? I have to pay my bills. I have to watch my daughter. I have to do things around the house. I have to do a lot of different jobs, which not all the time require guitar playing that is as challenging in a way that I can improve my technique, right? When I'm playing, like when I need to record tracks and backing tracks and pop songs and on all the things I do. It's not that I'm playing 200 BPMs of straight alt picking and whatnot, right? So this is not something that is considered practicing. It's playing guitar and certainly has an effect, but it doesn't make me faster or better or whatever, right? It's just doing my job. So I know the challenge of not being able to practice as much as you want, and I am a professional guitar player who's making a living with playing guitar mainly. And I know that you guys, you are working on the construction side. You are lawyers. You are teachers, right? You're working in brands where you're on the computer all day long. Maybe system engineering or whatever. I know that you guys are you don't have time to do it. That's the point of it. You also have things to do. You have families, you have people to take care of, you have bills to pay, right? So you're not gonna have the time to practice 2 or 3 hours a day. That's it. So another mistake, and this is kind of something that's happens here, is to see all of this in the internet. Fast playing people, children that are playing Dragon Force tunes, millions of guitar courses that are gonna show you all the secrets and everything, and they may be right about it, but think of it that way. Someone who wants to show you how very, very challenging licks and patterns are played on the guitar, even if they know how to play it, which certainly they do if they sell courses and show how to play it. They know how to play it and they have good material on how to play it, but still that's not what everything that's required to be able to play it, right? Let me give you an example. So let's say someone of you're an engineer and you're building planes. That's what you're engineering planes all day long, about the wings and the body and everything, and you know all the physics and whatnot. So you know what to do it. Now you take this knowledge and you're making a 1 hour course of it, and I'm going to see that course. Everything that I need to know to design a plane wing for an Airbus A380 may be in there in terms of knowledge. Am I going to be able to do that? Guess I'm not, right? Because it requires a lot of time and practice and making errors and then getting corrected by someone, and that's it. And it covers the same thing with guitar playing. You have to put in a certain amount of time if you want to be up there with these very challenging techniques. I'm not saying not do it, but choose the way you spend your time wisely. I'd rather start out with very simple pentatonic pull-off licks like the one I've just showed, just to get into it and have a certain first moment of success, and you feel the satisfaction and you get motivated and all of that. That's a better start than getting into crazy sweep picking patterns because you've just found an online video course that from someone who knows how to play it, and you can't really keep up with it at that point. It's very, very important. I know the internet is a crazy place, isn't it? You see this stuff all the time, and obviously you want to check it out and try it, but you have to choose it wisely. Yeah, and I can tell you that I was studying music. I have a BA in music tech specialist, and I have a master's in popular music. Both I did in the UK, And it's not that you enter the room and someone shows you, how to play bebop in the first lesson, right? That's you take it easy. All right, good. I think the point got clear. So yeah, let me check the comments again. It's that time. It's that time again. So yeah, Svenny Galos is talking about Troy Grady. Troy Grady's I owe him a lot. I've never met the guy. He doesn't know me, but I've seen all his videos when I was younger, when I had the time to get into it. Great stuff. Great stuff. Best material on, and hands down, best material on speed picking there is in the internet right now. Very hard to understand, and eventually it will not help you, because even though he knows everything about speed picking, you may not have the time and the capacities to keep up with that. But it's very interesting, very inspiring, and Cracking the Code, free YouTube video series, great series. I watch it all the time. Just can certainly recommend to watch that. All right. So we have discussions about these different techniques. That's cool. Like Blackmore once said, Eric Clapton can't play guitar. Yeah, I mean, a funny way to express this. Obviously, Clapton is a great guitar player, but he's more into these intuitive techniques, right? I mean, he does have some cool passages which eventually require practice, but I mean, I guess most guitar players, again, would agree that it's easier to be able to play Layla than it is to play The Dance of Eternity by Dream Theater. Okay. We have discussions about pick slanting. I'll get into that. Eventually, most people don't even know what pick slanting is. We'll talk about that in a while. Or you have a company like BluGuitar, but I still can practice at my gigs on the weekend. Yeah, Thomas, it's likely the same with the situation counts for both of us. I mean, the challenges in new music are obviously different. I think it requires more playing than practicing. I think, just sitting here with a metronome and technique and stuff like this wouldn't get me to a point where I can play the stuff that you can play, which is a different form of art, but on a way other level. So I think playing, developing your ear, getting into all these phrasing techniques, being able to improvise and all this, it requires a lot of gigging and playing and stuff like that, which I don't do as much as you do. I sit here and practice. Well, I did that. Should get into it a little more again. All right. Do it only 2 days a week. Yeah, well, someone was writing about practicing just 2 days a week and then settle it. May work out for you, it doesn't work for me. I need to practice every day. Well, sometimes, like there are like 10, 12 days a year where I don't practice because days are just crazy. But this is the 1 hour I take every day to get into practicing. That's very important for me. All right, guys, you're commenting so much. I'm so happy about it. Thanks for being here, and it's so much fun to talk to you guys, to talk with you guys. That's just great. Yeah, Rick Graham is the master of legato. 100% agreed. I really love what he does, and I stole his pattern. I play it all the time. It's this kind of, It's what I call the Rick Graham pattern, and he's doing it with muted strings. Like. Really love that. Great person. Also, not only legato, but also like the economy picking stuff. I used to do this workout where you do the pentatonic, 3-note and 1 note per string. So fast like. These licks I learned from Rick Graham, great guy. I had private lessons with him as well a couple of years back. Great guy, great player. Everything is great about him. All right. Svenny has a great tip, which goes back to John Petrucci. Don't need to mention that he is one of the greatest in terms of shred guitar. Play it faster than you can actually play it, and then go back to the original speed that you've stuck with. So that's a very valuable tip, but you have to understand why you need to do it. It can be very, dangerous as well to play it like that. So let's say you were at a certain level with the lick I've just shown you. And you get to. You want to get even faster. So you're not able to get that fast right now. right? You hit your barrier and you need to practice. But sometimes, and this is what I said when I was about, you also need to be brave sometimes and do stuff which you don't know is right. What holds you back is this invisible barrier of like just not. I'd say that you don't trust yourself enough that you're capable of doing so. But in theory, you are. It's like, if you're jumping into cold water. This is kind of the feeling you sometimes have. So it feels more comfortable to stick to the speed and the movement and everything that you're used to, and to just leave it there and not go one step further. So if it can make sense to just be able to just go faster than you can. So this is the speed you've achieved. What you do is like just play nonsense, but faster nonsense, and then go back to your initial speed. And it may feel easier. Yeah. So that's something that's, again, a psychological kind of thing, but it can help to break the speed limit that you have once you've achieved a certain speed. You also have to mention that, right? So don't practice like this all the time, but just sometimes when you hit the speed limit after practicing and you're there for a certain period of time, you don't get further. That's something you can certainly do. Thanks for that. Thanks for that tip, Svenny. All right. Noise zone. So question is, sweeping cheating? No, it isn't. We'll talk about sweeping as well. All right, guys. So that was the first part of the lesson. And we'll get into the second part of the lesson as well. But first of all, I want to show you some cool stuff. So our beloved savior, Mr. Thomas Bluk, who is bringing analog amplifiers into the 21st century in a way that we like to use them, that we can use them on the road with these two devices. He was on the NAMM show last week. And he sent me some pictures. I was like, wow, I know this guy. So, guess what? Who is that? Who knows this person? Write it into the comment section. Do you know who that is? All the metalheads should do so. I'm waiting for your comments. I'm waiting for your comments for 10 more seconds. Well, let me show you another photo if you don't know who that is. Maybe you'll recognize him from this perspective. Do you know who that is? If so, let me know in the comments. All right, the time is over. Let's get back to this dude. This, my friends, is Ola Englund. Ola Englund is one of the biggest metal guitar players on YouTube. Great guy, great player. He's doing the crazy heavy riff stuff. He really likes the BluGuitar M1 because I know that on his channel there are a couple of BluGuitar videos about the BluGuitar M1 Iridium, and he just released another one. This is crazy. It was just yesterday, and the title is I forgot about this one. Right, so we just released that just a little while ago, and can I actually hear it when I'm playing it? Yeah, right. So I mean, check it out, right? It's a crazy good YouTuber, and he really likes the M1, and he says that on all the videos that he has. So I guess he met with Thomas on the NAMM, and then realized, oh wow, there was this very cool little amplifier called the M1 Iridium. I should make a video about it again. I think it's the third or fourth he has. So certainly feel free to check it out. I think it's certainly worth it. I've watched parts of the video before the stream, and good video. I really love the way he plays the riffs and stuff. Very, very cool. All right. And I mean, obviously, NAMM show. I guess the guys had a great time. Thomas invited me out to go to NAMM with him, but I have other responsibilities at home with my daughter and stuff, so I had to pass this time. But hopefully, I get there at some point. Anyway, I've also received a video of someone playing the BluGuitar M1 Iridium at the NAMM show. Let me show it to you. Yeah, so that was straight from the NAMM show. Thomas, please forgive me. I've asked Lucas, how we didn't have any information on who the guy was. He's playing some really nice 80s metal riffs on that amp, but I don't know his name. So if you will please leave us a comment here, we can share it to the world. All right, guys, that was just a quick, quick clips from the NAMM show. So yeah, I'm super happy that Thomas was there and did the video, the NAMM walkthrough. You should certainly watch it. It's on our YouTube channel. It's a great stuff. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, NAMM, the event everyone's looking forward to in the music industry, and it's so exciting that BluGuitar is part of it, isn't it? All right, guys, we'll do another quick break. Well, I'm gonna do another quick break, and I show you guys another video in the style of what I had in the beginning. Let me quickly talk about this for a little while. The video you've seen in the beginning, the medley from Hendrix to Dream Theater in the end, that was a part of my master's degree final performance. So as I said before, I have a master's degree in music, and I did it at the University of West London, which is working together with the London College of Music, and you can study music there in the UK or online. I graduated there, and that was part of my final assessment for the master's degree. So that clip is a little older, and it never ever has seen never has seen the public. I kept it on my hard drive, never uploaded it. This is the first time I've shown it public. I was a very new BluGuitar Amp 1 endorser back then. I think it was in 2021 or so. If I remember correct, it was 20. So it's almost been 5 years, 5 years that I did that video. That was when I didn't have a child, when I didn't have my own house, which I had to pay and stuff like this. So life was with less beautiful, but in the end hard responsibilities. But anyway, I had to practice all the time to be able to make it through the exams, and that was my initial idea there, the history of shred guitar, and I still share the same opinion nowadays. As I told you, there is a little bit of shred in Hendrix. There's a lot of shred in Dream Theater. All of that is somehow connected to shred. So I thought it would be a good starting point for this video. I'm now going to show you another clip, which was also part of that assessment. The module was called Musical Direction and Ensemble Skills, right? So it's not about just playing on your own, which first video was. It's about playing with other musicians, and that was another very cool project I did there. And I also played the BluGuitar Amp 1 Iridium there. And what I wanted to do is a Dream Theater medley. I thought, what could be more impressive than a medley of some of my favorite Dream Theater situations? It's my favorite band, so there are a lot of situations that I really like, and I can't do a 10 hours medley, and it had to be 50 minutes or 60 minutes or so. So this is what I'm gonna show you right now, right? This is 16 minutes of me playing Dream Theater with my brother Elias on the drum set, with my sister Yasmin on the piano, and with my dear friend Arthur on the bass guitar. Here we go. Wow, guys, I'm back. I'm back live in the studio, and rewatching that, it was a crazy experience for me. Oh man, it has been a couple of years that I did that. I really miss those times. I mean, life is good nowadays as well. You know, my daughter is as well and healthy, and my wife as well, and everyone's well. So that's valuable and great. But you know, sometimes you'll see these old moments. It's just been a couple of years, but so many things have changed. That was done during COVID, and you know, I mean, COVID was certainly for the music industry and everyone was a hard time. But you know, I sometimes I miss it, just being at home and practicing for my assessments all day long, and then the night spending some fun time with my wife, watching movies and whatnot, and playing games. So that. I was some good about it as well. Anyway, it's 2026 right now, and we are here on the BluGuitar YouTube channel, bringing you all the shred chops today. So guys, tell me how you like the Dream Theater medley. It's no more specific than the stuff in the beginning, right? So everyone was expressing sympathy for different guitar players in the beginning. This was only Dream Theater, but this was a crazy project. I'm so proud of my sister Jasmine and my brother Elias that they kept up. They're quite young. I think they weren't even 20. They were like 19 or 20 years old. They're twins when we did that. And it's just crazy that they kept up and practiced and did everything. And I couldn't be a more proud big brother. You know, when I see this. Thanks guys. Cool. All right. So we are back into shred, and I promised you that I will talk a little bit more about a couple of topics. And I keep promises. I'm trying to keep promises. So let's go. So we've talked about this lick, right? We've talked about the mechanics of shred, how to develop speed and everything, with one example, which was this basic simple lick. Right? And we did some cool stuff to it, like. Which can make it sound like a big boy's lick, basically, if you do that. Now, let's say you have practiced this very simple lick and you got to a certain speed and you feel comfortable with it, and it becomes second nature, and you can play it without worrying, you know, without worrying about it. You can just, you're confident, you can play that. This is the point where I would recommend an amateur shred guitar player to start exploring new stuff, right? Because you can't have 5 chapters open in your head. If you want to play pentatonic stuff and then 300% string stuff and then tapping and whatnot all at the same time, practice everything, you're not going to get far if you don't have the resources in terms of time and all of that. I've talked about that. I know it's hard if you're working, or if you're, I mean, everyone has responsibilities. If you're working or have to watch your kids or have to do stuff, right? That's very hard. So focus on one thing, maybe a simple thing like this, get it to an advanced level, and you'll sound great. If you feel comfortable with it, you're now on, you know, at a stage where you can get into new stuff. So take this, right? Take this and try to go from there. So this is based on pull-offs. How about doing the same thing with hammer-ons, right? So, right, reverse leg, just 2 hammer-ons. Right, don't like the sound as much as I like the pull-off sound in this case, but you know, let's say we combine that. So you've nailed the pull-offs. You now start to do the hammer-ons. So why couldn't you do a sequence like this? Right, so it sounds like. Add something like this to your vocabulary then. So let me do it slow. So we start with, there are many ways to start it, but I show my favorite way. It's 12th fret on the E string, hammer on to the 15th fret, and then pull it off, just one pick. You go into the B string, 15th fret, do a pull off to 12, and then hammer on back to 15. So the mechanic in terms of the picking hand stays the same, down up, down up, down up. Already do that because it was required in the first leg, so you don't need to worry about that too much. Yeah, and same move on the right hand. On the second hand, we now add another thing, which is the hammer-on. combine both of these. Again, take it slow from the beginning. Same rules apply. Don't do... Don't skip the hard part. Everything with very constant timing. I think it's very, very, very cool lick. Now, you're not going to have, as hard of a time as you do when you get into the first lick, because the pull-offs are already there, the right hand is already there, the feeling of being able to play something fast is already there. We've talked about being brave, right? So you're used to all of this stuff. So certainly you have to put in time, but not as much time, I suppose, as you had to put into the first lick to nail that. Now start doing like the same process, right? We start alternating some notes. So instead of playing 15 on the E string, we can sometimes say 14. Yeah, right. So we can do stuff like this. Or do 17 again. Right. Things like that work great. Move it up and down the fretboard again. Right, or here. That was the first position. Right? Very, very, very simple stuff. When it's played slow, it sounds very impressive when you play it fast. And again, put it, you take it to other octaves. Start alternating notes, maybe put in the blue note or whatever you know. If you're someone playing like this, you're not going to think he's an amateur, he doesn't know about shred guitar. But the process that we guitar players are going through is basic. Pentatonic, up and down strokes, pull-offs, hammer-ons, right? You really have to make it that way. Other than that, you're going to have a hard time, but make it as systematic as I just explained it. I promise you, these licks, very simple in the end, right? And you'll be able to nail them for sure. Okay, right? So, similar lick, similar techniques, we just add hammer-ons, and we'd be able to increase our vocabulary. Now, let me do the following. So, as you guys know, I do work with a DAW. If you've seen streams before of mine, right, you know that I'm on my second screen. I have this window open, which is the DAW. Here we have the M1 Mercury. Sorry, that was the wrong key. So here on the first track, we have the Mercury. Can name it very quick, and here we have the Iridium. Now, what I do now is I'm going to find a backing track, which will take a second. So let me quickly look for it. What backing track? What backing track am I going to take? I have so many backing tracks, I can't decide on which one I should go. I want to have one in E minor. I don't know what that is, but this is just a random backing track which I have right now on my hard drive. So let's take a listen to the track. Kind of straight on metal kind of backing track. So now let me solo over this backing track and incorporate some of the licks that I've just shown you that are, as we know, quite simple when you start out, and you just have to follow the rules and be a little patient and put in some time, which is 10 minutes a day or whatever, to get it up to speed, and then you'll be here. So let's go. Let me give it another try. Just basic phrasing and stuff and everything. You know, you have your own ways to play, I guess, for slow improvisation, and then combine it with some of these licks. And I think it sounds quite nice. If someone would show me a solo like this, yeah, think that he's a quite good guitar player. Wouldn't you as well? Cool. Now, when you have these techniques down to a certain degree, the second step will be to get creative with it in terms of, you know, also harmonics and stuff like this. So the last lick I've shown you is perfectly fine, for example, to be applied to arpeggios. So we're now leaving pentatonic territory. I always start with pentatonic because everyone knows a pentatonic. But let's say I know the notes for an E minor 7 arpeggio, right? Which I could play then like this. Right? So in this case, right, E minor 7 would be 19th fret on the E string, pull it off to the 15th, and do the pull off from 17 to 15 on the B string. Right? Same technique. A little hard to do because the fingering is a little bit harder, but yeah, but essentially the same technique, right? So I could do arpeggio runs, you know, if I had like an E minor, a C major, and a D major, classic E minor kind of chord progression. You know, could play the arpeggios with it. You know, it's essentially the same as, you know, like if I would sweep the same thing. Right, or do like the 5 string, the biggest sweeps. Right? Obviously, it sounds a little bit more impressive if you do it like this, but this is the first step to it. We're developing from it. It has a very similar sound, and you know how easy it is. It's essentially 2 pull-offs. That's where we started from. And by practicing 2 pull-offs, you'll be able to play arpeggio sequences. How cool is that, right? Or we can do the second lick as well, like the right, and the arpeggio sequence as well. Right, same thing, same licks, Hammer-ons and pull-offs, based on that very simple pentatonic exercises, but applied to, you know, a harmonic context that just makes sense and follows a certain structure, follows a certain chord progression. Sounds really cool if you ask me. All right. Yeah, that's only one example of how to work with that. Now, let's say you got that down, right? You got to a point where you can play your arpeggios and pentatonic licks. You can push it up and down the fretboard. You can alternate some notes, make it something more interesting, all that good stuff, which is perfectly fine. Same process. We get comfortable with it, and once we're comfortable with it, we add another more challenging factor, which is then adding more, you know, sounds to our vocabulary, and which will also develop our technique slowly. So, for example, right, picking. Right, we've been talking about picking. You guys have been talking about picking, pick slanting. I'll talk about that in a second. Let me show you how to incorporate picking into this. So eventually, you could start to pick some of the notes. So hammer-ons and pull-offs on the E string. Let's get back to the pentatonic for a second. Hammer-ons and pull-offs on the E string, and then pick notes on the B string. Right, so we have right, things like that, which can sound great, you know, which can really sound great. And if you apply that same logic, now alternating some notes. Sorry. My heating system is not working. It's that cold in here, if you know how cold it would be right now. I don't have warm water and don't have a heating system, so my hands are not in the best circumstances. But yeah, enough with these excuses. Let me try to play it properly. Right? Sounds quite cool, and you got this picking kind of feeding into that. Now alternate the notes. Right? Same procedure, and now let's apply to the arpeggios. Alternate some notes within these arpeggios, maybe. Right, you can create your own exercises, practice arpeggios all over the fretboard. Right, how cool is that? I mean, it still, after all these years and being able to play, stuff that's more difficult, I still really admire the sound of this. I think it sounds great. It's great, like, to practice and to play and to use. If someone was playing that in a solo, I'd be like, this is a cool guy. He knows what he's doing, right? Okay. And I mean, obviously, we may reach a point, for example, where we want to pick everything, right? And we're now getting back to the beginning. So let's say that the most difficult version of this lick is when everything is picked, right? So it would be like... Right, so this is how it sounds when everything is picked. It's quite challenging, obviously. So we're going months back. You've been practicing the pull-offs, the pentatonic, all this stuff. But you've seen the guy on Instagram who's doing this kind of stuff, everything picked. I think it sounds very cool. I wanted to do that. If you were to start practicing that stuff right away, everything picked, 2 notes per string, alternate picking sequence with only picking. If you practice that, you get frustrated because you don't have time. Because you have responsibilities. You got to work, you got to take care of people. And picking can be very overwhelming, and you have to synchronize your left hand, your right hand, and all of this move and everything. No way it's going to do. You're going to do it, right? In most cases, I mean, yeah, if you're a tough guy and a good guy and whatever, and you have time, I mean, like, you're going to do it. But how are chances now? You've spent 3, 4, 5 months to get these easier versions down. And everything you start with is... that simple pentatonic lick. And now you start to get into licks like stuff like this, right? That is the path that you want to follow. And that is realistically what will, make you able to get into shred guitar, to get into technical guitar. It's about realistic choices, realistic ways to approach things. I mean, obviously you can start out practicing the very hard thing right at the beginning, but very likely you'll get frustrated and stop doing it after a certain amount of time. If you follow that path, it's way more likely that the average everyday guitar player will succeed at it, right? And that's the whole point of this lesson. If you're an amateur guitar player and you are interested in shredding, you can certainly get into it. You don't have to be afraid like this is some kind of playing that I will never ever be able to do, and only these study guitar players and classical guitar players can do it and whatnot. That's not the truth. You can do it, but you have to make wise choices, and you have to make realistic choices, and you have to put in some work. But the amount of work, the amount of time you have to put in can be quite limited if you go practice the right way, right? If you go step by step, and that is really the whole point of this thing. And the way the internet works, I've talked about it, right? You see the guys doing it, you also want to do it, try and do it. You don't believe in yourself, it's too hard to do, and whatnot. But if you follow that road, you'll eventually get closer to the point. I mean, obviously you're not going to play like Michelangelo Batio if you are 55 by now and you've started playing guitar last year, right? It's not very realistic that you'll be there at some point, but we can get you close to that, and it feels good and it's great fun to do it, right? And you'll enjoy the process throughout. It's a great feeling to master a pentatonic shred lick with pull-offs if you nail it, if you really nail it. And you don't have to start with all the hard stuff. Take your time, be easy with it, and follow these steps, right? It's a very it's a very safe process, and chances are highest with this kind of process that you'll be able to make progress and that you'll be happy with your shred skills in your situation. All right, that is basically what I wanted to bring across for tonight's episode. And what we do now is I'm going to take a look at these questions. I also had questions that we've had before, because we're talking about shredding, and these guys that want to talk about pixeling and stuff like this is the time right now. I haven't prepared stuff for this for today. I will maybe do it for future lessons, right? Doesn't mean that we're not going to talk about the more complicated stuff, but today's episode was for the guys who are starting out with shredding. So let me go back to the beginning and let me go through all the comments. And guys, we're slowly but surely approaching the end of tonight's stream. So if you have any more questions, feel free to put them into the chat. I'm gonna go through it again, and I hope that I'll find those questions again, because I really want to answer you guys. If I didn't do it before. So many comments today, which makes me happy. Thanks for doing so. It will now take a little time to get through those, but I'm giving my best. I've answered quite a lot of these already. Keys to the Lamborghini. I missed that section. Oh wow. That's funny. That is really funny. Where were those questions? So someone, when I was talking about the up and down strokes with the pick, when we do the pull-off lesson, the pull-off thing, someone was asking if the pick is in between the strings, and that's correct. That is inside picking. It's called inside picking. So if you're someone who likes to pick in between the strings, then you are an inside picker. You can do it the other way around. So in that case, it would be upstroke on the high E string and then downstroke on the B string, right? So up, down, up, down. Also works. Can also do it, but not as fast as I am with inside picking. Inside picking, outside picking. There are some licks that you can only play with inside picking. There are no licks that you can only play with outside picking. Sorry, my screen just went off because it has been on for 5 hours, so I need to restart it. Basically, I do a lot of inside picking because when I play every note picked, I mostly play economy picking. I play little alternate picking. I mostly play economy picking. And economy picking is by definition always inside picking. So that's why I got used to it, and I really like playing inside picking. It's if you look at it physically, it's the most effective way to get from one string to another, right? Being inside the strings. When you do economy picking, right? it may mean that you have 2 downstrokes in a row. Sometimes it may mean that you have two upstrokes in a row sometimes. But physically, that's the most effective way. And there's a whole discussion going on about which one is better. I mean, obviously, as physical rules apply also to guitar playing, economy picking is likely to be faster. You can likely be faster with it. But the pro argument for all-time picking is that you can may be able to play a little bit more, to play a little bit more, let's say, aggressive, right? As you have bigger movements sometimes, even especially when you play outside picking, and bigger movements can, give you more control over the aggressiveness that you can put into the sound. So outside picking may be a little bit more expressive. Economy picking may be a little bit more efficient and faster in the end. Let me give you an example of the same thing which we just did, but picked, right? So let's do alternate picking on this. Right. So this is the thing alternate picked. I'm not too good at it, to be honest. This is not my preferred way of playing it. I would do it economy picking. It looks a little weird, but check my right hand. Like. Right. Yeah. So everything is alternate picking. Economy picked. Sorry, it's all economy picking. The way I prefer it. So. Let's be at the same tempo. If I alternate pick it, you hear that the movements are quite, a little more aggressive. If I, at the same speed, economy pick it, right? In my case, it sounds cleaner because I practice that. This is what I can do. This is why it sounds cleaner. But it also sounds smoother, right? There's no right or wrong. Two different techniques. Whatever you prefer, you should go with, right? Yeah, and that's the whole inside picking kind of thing. This is where it leads to. All right. Thanks for those that question. Let me go through the other questions as well. So we had the mentioning of Troy Grady. Boo 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 boo. Okay, someone was someone wrote that he's practicing new techniques 2 days a week, and this is obviously an approach which can really work out. I don't have scientific data on it, but there's something like overplaying, but it doesn't start at 2 days a week, obviously. So if you were playing the same lick for like 4 hours, I mean, you could talk about overplaying. I think that consistency is very important. So let's get into this scenario. You have likely an hour, maybe 1.5 hours a week of time that you can realistically divide into practicing. I claim that it's better to practice 10 minutes a day rather than practicing 1 hour at a day a week. What we're trying to do with shredding is we're trying to trigger and activate the muscle memory, right? And the muscle memory, I mean, it's basically your brain turning off and then your muscles just taking over. If you repeat the movement long enough, right, you're not going to have to think about it. Well, if you have to think about what you're playing when you're shredding, right, you're not there. So we want to trigger the muscle memory, and there are some studies on it. If you repeat the same movement, more frequently over sorry, I was getting somewhere wrong there. If you do repeat the movement every day for a short period of time, it activates the muscle memory more than just doing it once per week for a longer time, right? It's like, let me try to find an example. So let's say you have to learn, there's a text and you have to learn it. You may not read it out, but you have to present it to people. So you really have to learn it. I think most people would agree that if you'd repeat that text every day for 10 minutes, you'll be more likely to, learn it than just reading it 1 hour every week, and 1 day every week, right? Same applies to guitar playing. I'd say that, practicing and getting into shred guitar makes sense if you have, a time of 10 minutes a day available. Should be very consistent with that. That's very important in my opinion. If you sometimes leave it out for a day, that's not the end of the world. But I'd recommend to start with 10 minutes a day, and that will certainly get you somewhere, I promise. All right. Let's go back to the comment section and see what else you guys wrote. Talk about NAMM. I've showed the video, didn't I? Hushi Channel asked if I would do a bar when I was playing the basic pentatonic pattern. I don't. So we're talking about this pattern here. I've talked about it before in the stream. So don't do this. Don't do put your index finger on. Sounds smooth right now, but if I start swapping positions, it'll kill my flexibility. And you don't really practice the string changing movement. There's some patterns where you really have to swap strings with your index finger, and you're not going to practice that movement if you do it with a bar, right? So may feel more comfortable in the first place, but it has a lot of disadvantages in once you go on with playing. Okay, hope I answered that question. Let me go through. So there was the guy called Carsten, and he did some crazy stuff at NAMM, as far as I understand here. I wasn't there, but I guess it was very cool. Some appreciation for Dream Theater and Paul Gilbert and these guys, which I certainly share. Thomas had shredding at NAMM every day. Cool. One more reason to go to NAMM. If there's a lot of shredding, I'm in. Should have mentioned that before. I've joined you. Lots of appreciation for Dream Theater, which again I am happy to see here. All right. I think I've answered all the questions. I've seen more questions which I think I have answered before. So if I missed out your question, I'm super sorry. Now is the time to repost it. If I missed out on your question, please write it into the chat during the next couple of minutes, so I have a chance to get your answer. Thomas is playing coin picking as well. That is very, very good, Thomas. You get the best grade. Economy picking is my favorite picking technique. I've just talked about the aspect of more expression with the picking stuff like this. But the thing is, when I'm playing fast, expression is minimized anyway. So because I'm not talking about medium speed or whatever, I'm talking about playing really fast, right? I want to sound smooth. This is why I like Legato so much. So I'm happy to go down on expression when playing fast and to go up on efficiency. Cool. What's up next week? I think Thomas will know. Thomas will know because next week he is on the stream again. Wow. So a lot of people tell me that they really like this episode and that it's one of their favorites and stuff. I feel honored. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I always think about ways to design these episodes. I thought that just shredding for amateurs would be kind of maybe boring for a lot of people, but it feels that you guys appreciate it, which makes me happy because shredding is great. I really like it. Cool. So a lot of people tell me they're gonna practice these licks and stuff, which is really great. Guys, last couple of minutes. If I didn't answer your question before, please repost it right now, because the ones that I've seen I've answered. I'm going to show you one last thing besides these questions, if they may come. So we're going to my other camera again. One last thing is a good sound for practicing. So a lot of people say that playing with gain is faking everything. It's easier, and I couldn't disagree more, because playing with gain has a lot of challenges as well. So you have to mute the strings. You have a lot of noises that you don't have when you're playing clean. I agree that a lot of gain, I mean, there's a certain amount of gain that makes sense and that is aesthetically pleasurable and whatnot. But I mean, at a certain point, yeah, it can, obviously hide some of your mistakes. But you should not practice without gain if you want to get into shredding. If you want to do clean bebop, then obviously you don't need to practice with gain. But if you want to do like rock, guitar kind of shredding, then certainly practice with gain. What you should do is turn your boost off, and then find a medium gain setting like this. On 4 or 5, right? That's the Emanuel Mercury. So this kind of setting has enough gain to be able, like, there's a necessity to mute the strings and to not create unwanted noises with it. Get back to my main camera. But it doesn't hide your mistakes too much, right? So this is a great sound for practice. Right? Doesn't sound very pleasurable. It's not the right sound for this kind of playing, obviously, right? Doesn't sound great when I shred with this kind of sound. But it's a great balance of having the challenges of gain, which is muting and not trying to minimize noises when string change and whatnot, and at the same time not having enough gain to hide your mistakes. This is a really good practicing sound. My original practicing sound that I use every day for practicing is this. Right, this is the Iridium theme channel, and then this pedal, which is the rumble seat. I've talked about this before. I really love it. Marshall in the box. So this is my everyday practicing sound. Anything but a shred sound, anything but high gain, but it really helps me, to hear my mistakes and everything, and at the same time, being challenged to control the gain. So this is a very good sound to practice technical stuff. Medium gain sound, which will then certainly help you. And sometimes some parts of practice I do with a full gain sound. So I activate this pedal, which is the Tube Dreamer by Jam Pedals. Tube Screamer cut off pedal. Get ready for noise. And this is my full lead guitar. Some parts of it I also practice with that sound because it's about improvising and stuff like that, so I really need the sound to dive into it. But just the pure technical part, this sound. Very honest sound, and this doesn't help you to hide your mistakes. But play the same stuff on the clean channel. I think it hides my mistakes even more, doesn't it? Right? I mean, it's not meant, obviously, for this kind of musically clean sound. It wasn't designed for it, right? I mean, still you can do it. But I think, I couldn't hear if I have unwanted string noises. I couldn't hear if I have string ringing from strings that I'm not supposed to play or I do fast picking movements, right? So this really helps to cover mistakes, I think, the very clean sound. Yeah. All right. That was the last thing I want to talk about, right? Practice with the right tone. Medium gain tone is usually doing it for me, and then, there's a difference between practicing and playing. So if you practice, adjust your tone to, be a good balance between technical challenge and honest honest mirroring of what you're actually doing there. And then if you play, get comfortable with it. Make your sound epic, put some effects on it, whatever, right? Cool. Someone was asking if I do run 2 BluGuitar amp ones in stereo. Occasionally I do. I didn't do so today, but we can quickly go through it. Oh, that's the wrong window. That's the one you want to see. So here's a Mercury, is the Iridium. I can do this one on the right, and I can do, this one on the left, and on both of the amps. Put the gain to a similar level on both of these amps, because one was still in practice mode, and we're here. With a stereo set up. Cool. All right. So I also got that question answered, I guess. Let's go back and take a final look at the chat. All right. That seems to be it. Guys, thank you so much for being with me. First episode of Academy of Shred in 2026. I really hope that you guys did like it. If you did like what you have seen, I mean, feel free to tune in every month. I'm doing one of these episodes every month, other than Christmas time or whatever, or NAMM. Sometimes I may miss out, but other than that, you'll see me here once a month, and I'm going to talk about the topics that Thomas usually doesn't talk about too much, which is shredding, gain, music with lots of gain, right? More modern music, things like that. It's the time of the month. If you're into blues and old school rock and stuff like that, still tune in, because we can only learn from each other. I watch Thomas's streams as well. I learn a lot, and maybe you guys can do so here as well. I'm happy, to be back on the BluGuitar YouTube channel. It's going to be a great year. Like, you're going to see me on Guitar Summit as well this year. We have a lot of cool projects planned, community jams and whatnot, and there's lots of reason to be excited. 2026 is going to be great. And I mean, first and foremost, there's another amp coming out, which is the Amp X, and Thomas is going to talk about that obviously in his stream. But maybe I'm going to get one of those at some point as well, and can show you a little bit about it for heavier tones. What you reckon? All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and yeah, see you very, very soon. Gonna leave you with one of my older videos I did, some epic tones, and yeah, see you next time. Have a nice one.